So what is worship? Some people may think of worship as something that they do on a Sunday. It's the part of the program where they sing songs to the Lord and, clap their hands and lift their hands to the Lord. For them, that's what worship is. Well, to others, worship for them is a ritual. It's something that they do. Well, to them, worship is a set of actions that they do in reverence to whomever they are worshiping. While to most Christians, they would say worship is a lifestyle. Well, that may sound like a cliche. Well, it may be true, and it's a good definition, and I like that definition. But do you really understand what worship is? So for us, worship leaders, I believe we need to have a deeper understanding of what worship really is. More than just, doing these acts of singing, crying, and all these forms that we have in our services. We as worship leaders must have the depth of understanding of what worship really means. And recently I've been reading this book from Jack Hayford, and the book is entitled Worship His Majesty. He's the guy who composed the song Majesty, Worship His Majesty. And I was so blessed by what he said about worship. And he says that the word worship comes from an old English word, worthship, which means to ascribe worth to an object or someone. And I like what he says about worship. He says the essential idea is that whatever you value most highly or place the greatest worth upon, that is what you worship. So whatever is that thing, that object, or that person that you hold dearly in your heart, or that you value so much in your life, then that is the object that you worship. So if you value most in your life, if you value your spouse, or the most thing that you value in your life is your family, or your children, or your job, or whatever, then that's the very thing that you worship. And so if you value God the most in your life, so you worship God. And one interesting idea or concept that we can find in the scriptures is it can be found in Psalms 115 verses 4 to 8. And this is this idea, which is you become the God that you worship. Let me say that again. You become the very thing that you worship. So let me read to you the verses from Psalm 115 verses 4 to 8. It says here, their idols are silver and gold, the work of men's hands. They have mouths, but they do not speak. Eyes they have, but they do not see. They have ears, but they do not hear. Noses they have, but they do not smell. They have hands, but they do not handle. Feet they have, but they do not walk, nor they mutter through their throat. Those who make them are like them. So is everyone who trusts in them. So the psalmist was actually describing what these guys, these people, these idolaters worship, or how they worship. So they worship their idols, the gods that they made by their own hands. And at the last part of it, it says, those who make them are like them. And so is everyone who trusts in them. So basically it's saying, you become like the God you worship. So whatever is that very thing that you hold so dearly in your heart, the things that you value most, or that has the greatest worth in your life, those are the things that you worship. So applying that concept, it just means that if you value the most in your life, if you value money the most, then eventually you will become just like the one that you worship, or you will become just like money. Or if you value your family the most, you will just become just like them. Or if you value your principles, or if you value yourself the most, then eventually you will become like yourself. But if you worship God, if you value God the most in your life, eventually you will become the one that you value, the one that you worship. So eventually you will become just like God. And I like what Jack Hayford states in his book. He says, the act of worship means you are developing a set of values. You are determining what you desire most. Worship means you are choosing priorities. You are establishing what comes first in your life. Worship means you are determining what you are to become. You are choosing in whose image you will be made. So, understanding this concept about worship, more than just an act every Sunday, or more than just singing songs or going with the flow of the congregation, when we begin to really understand that worship is about value, it's about worth, then we will have a deeper understanding, and we will when we apply this in our lives, then we will become like the very person that we worship. And he goes on in his book, he says, your worship will determine what flows from your life. Humankind's highest attainment comes through glorifying God, who is worthy of all glory. Some may find temporal glory in their works or pursuits, but that kind of glory fades. Some may even be remembered beyond their lifetimes for achievements in the arts, the sciences, or sporting events. But all the accolades, all the medals, all the record books will mean absolutely nothing when we stand before the judgment seat of Christ. But those who worship the Lord, looking to the unseen rather than the seen as we go through our present trials, will find what Paul calls an eternal weight of glory working in their lives. Those will possess a glory that endures. So the question is, who are you worshiping? What are you pursuing in your life? What do you hold most dearly in your life? Do you value so much? Do you value money? Do you place the most value to your family? Or do you spend your time too much on Facebook or playing video games or whatever things? Or do you value God most dearly in your life? Because at the end of the day, you will become who you worship. So choose who you worship. Worship the one who is worthy of all the value, because He is the creator of the universe. He made you. He created you. He is worth all the worship. And as you value Him, as you worship Him in your life, you will eventually become just like Him.